Hi, my name is Reg Lilly, and some time ago I took a course in Japanese joinery, and I brought my bag of joints to share. And I'll just try to explain what each of them are. But there's an idea behind all Japanese joinery, and that is that they were developed primarily for building dwellings in the first instance, and then later furniture. That furniture came later is one of the reasons why we see Japanese houses with very little furniture, sitting on the floor with low tables. But as they were developing their construction techniques, carpentry, they had no use of nails, glues, or screws. So everything had to be held together simply by mechanical friction. So many of the joints that we use in the West simply wouldn't hold together at all because we rely upon glue for many of our joints. So I'll just try to explain or show you some of these joints and how they work. Some of them, the Japanese became very curious and playful in their joinery, making joints that sometimes seemed impossible to make or to put together when you saw them, but we'll get to a few of those in a minute. This is just a simple lap joint, kind of a bridal joint, and they stick together very well. So by having these little shoulders, it stabilizes the joint so that it can't rack this way and that way. And it makes a very stable joint, as you can see. That's maybe the simplest joint. It has a lot of different purposes, as you can imagine. The second joint, I think I mistakenly glued it together, which is unfortunate. But as you can see, it is a mitered joint. It's mitered on that side, and it's not mitered on that side. And how it's fit together or held together is with these two tenons. So it's mitered part way up the joint, and then it's a butt joint to hold it together. A miter joint by itself wouldn't stay together without glue, which is why here is an example of a mitered joint. That's a typical picture frame or whatever. That's a miter joint. In the West, we would glue that typically. What they do is they put a tenon in it. And so, again, that's what the second joint, I think I mistakenly glued it together, which is unfortunate. But as you can see, it is a mitered joint. It's mitered on that side, and it's not mitered on that side. And how it's fit together or held together is with these two tenons. So it's mitered part way up the joint, and then it's a butt joint to hold it together. A miter joint by itself wouldn't stay together without glue, which is why here is an example of a mitered joint. That's a typical picture frame or whatever. That's a miter joint. In the West, we would glue that typically. What they do is they put a tenon in it. And so, again, that's what the inside of the joint looks like. And, oops. And it goes back together very tightly, as you can see. Here is a second kind of a joint. Typically when a joint meets a 90-degree angle like that, that's called a butt joint. And butt joints have no strength. We would, in the West, we would typically put a screw in it or put a tenon in it. And that tenon does provide the mechanical contact and friction that holds it together. What's interesting about this tenon is that they make a bird's beak on it. And that bird's beak keeps the joint from moving side to side even more securely than the simple tenon would.
Okay.
Everyone will recognize the good old dovetails. These are the dovetails, these are the pins, it's done exactly the same in Japan and the East as it is here. It's a very common joint. I won't. Everyone knows how they go together. There's no mystery about that. This is my least successful joint. It is called a blind dovetail. Now, a blind dovetail, these are through dovetails because you can see they come all the way through the board. If they don't come all the way through the board and you can't see the parts sticking into this board, that's called a blind or half-blind dovetail. This is a half-blind dovetail. And as you can see the parts there. And what was difficult about this was making this curve. And you know, let's show my errors. You can see I didn't do a great job of getting the curve, but the dovetails themselves do fit in, and it looks terrible, but it hangs together. And another joint, the Japanese in making houses would have, let's say, 8-foot boards or logs, or 10-foot boards or logs like everyone else, and that would be limiting to the size of the structure you could make. So they had to figure out ways to make short boards into long boards, or short beams into long beams. And they have many, many different ways of doing this. This is the simplest way, is with a joint that has little pieces, a piece carved out there, and then it got broken, but a piece that sticks out there, and it slides into that hole, and it has strength in all 4 directions. It can come apart this way, but the other 4 directions, this back and forth this way, back and forth this way, it's very stable. Even more stable than that is this joint, which is very, very popular. It is similar to this last joint, but when it comes apart, it has these facets on it, sort of teeth, and these teeth are mirror image. It's a mirror image, 2 mirror images of each other, and they slide together. And what makes them stable is that here you can see a little slot that's partly carved into each of these, and when you take a small piece of wood, a peg, for instance, and put that peg in that slot, it can't come apart, it can't this direction, it's completely stable. So that you could make, in principle, and I've seen this made even today in the Northwest, beams that are 8 inches by 8 inches that are 50 feet long. And they make them by putting these, the timbers together with that kind of a joint. The trickiest joint that I made, well, the second trickiest joint that I made at this workshop was this. And this is used especially in furniture, where you want to conceal as much of your joinery and the fit of the joinery as much as possible. And so they make this bird's beak with 3 pieces and they have these tenons which extend in a very specific design, so that there is only, whoops, I always have to think about this. Wait. So that there's only one way that it can go together. So these two pieces have to go together first, because there's one tenon there. It slides into this piece, and then this, which has two tenons on it, each tenon goes into one of the other pieces. And so it goes together like that, and you end up with a corner joint in which all you see is one little tenon there and one tenon on the top.
They're set up, and so they don't, so there's not like a, let's all walk together in a big loop or whatever.
Then the last kind of fun joint, when you look at this, it seems impossible to make because it can't come off this way, it can't come off that way, and it's not clear how you make it. But you find out if you slide them, if you make the dovetails crosswise, then this piece slides in. And you can also make a whole column of these joints, and they are very, very stable. They will only slide in one direction. So that's my little bag of joints. I hope you find it interesting.